the Middle East. I want to speak in the context of conflict and advancing the SDGs. When I say the River Jordan, what do you think of? The baptism of Jesus, the crossing of the Israelites, the 4 companions to the prophet Muhammad buried on the banks of the river? Do you think of the Mississippi? Do you think of the Rhine? Well, I need to disappoint you, because south of the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan River is little more than a sewage canal. Because of conflict, 95% of the water that used to flow down the river have been diverted. Half by Israel, the other half by Syria and Jordan. Because in the midst of conflict, in a semi-arid part of the world, water is power. And you don't want to allow water to flow to your enemy. The Jordan River is the border. And conflict leads to the complete demise of ecosystems. It leads to the Jordan Valley to be fenced, to be mined, to be the backdoor dumping ground of the region, where the sewage of Israeli, Palestinian, Jordanian communities are just dumped into the river. And the communities themselves suffer from poverty. In fact, the poorest communities of the 3 countries are in the Jordan Valley, where there are pockets of 40% unemployment. That's 50% youth unemployment. There's no wonder that security agencies let us know that they estimate some 5,000 young people from the Jordan Valley having gone to fight for ISIS in Syria and Iraq. In this context, do we just wait for our governments or the international community to solve? No. Civil society has a key role. And EcoPeace Middle East is a unique civil society organization where Palestinian, Jordanian, and Israeli together, working in the grassroots, working in communities on all sides of the Jordan Valley, with Palestinian school kids, with Israeli school kids, with Jordanian school kids, adult residents, mayors, bringing communities to understand where their water is coming from, what's happening with their sewage, what's happening with their solid waste, and what's the water reality of their neighbor. Because we need to empower communities to understand the interconnectedness of the future of all of our residents. And we need to empower, we seek to empower our leaders at the community level, mayors, to take action and to turn the situation around in the midst of conflict. Because we can advance SDGs even in the midst of one of the most intractable conflicts that exist. And because of this type of work, because of constituency building, support of civil society organizations, we've seen mayors literally jump into the Jordan River together. Israeli, Palestinian, and Jordanian, not because they're best friends. Animosity continues. Conflict, occupation are rampant. Yet they jump into the river together. Not a pretty sight. Mostly men with big bellies, big splash. But they jump into the river together because they're empowered to stand up. And empowered to stand up and say, we refuse to be losers. The decisions taken in our capitals are actually at our expense. The loss of the River Jordan is a loss of economic opportunities for our residents. And the only way to turn that around is to literally get wet together and to stand up to those that will condemn us for doing so. When we create constituencies, when we empower people in communities to understand that their future is interdependent, then we can see real advance in livelihood, in sustainability, and in peace building. This is a long-term process. For a decade, we're advancing a Jordan River rehabilitation campaign. And because of the community-based focused work, today we're in a situation where sewage treatment plants have been built. On the Jordanian side, with the support of USAID. On the Palestinian side, with the support of the government of Japan. On the Israeli side, with investments of the government of Israel. Where fresh water, for the very first time in 49 years, has been released again from the Sea of Galilee to the Jordan. Because of public pressure, because of an understanding that we're all losers, and we refuse to be losers. Not enough water's flowing, not all the sewage is out, but a significant change. Rehabilitation of the banks has started to take place. The willow tree, which had become extinct because of the salinity of the river, is now being planted and can live again on the banks of that river. The first ever integrated master plan ever to be created, a 3-year effort with the support of the European Union, €1 million invested, establishes how we can transform the valley, as Professor Sachs had mentioned, over a 30-year period from a basin of poverty of only $4 billion economy to a $73 billion economy through cooperation, through turning the river back as the lifeblood of the valley that supports prosperity for all three peoples, Israeli, Palestinian, and Jordanian together. Today, we're at the situation where we're even able to move forward on a memorandum of understanding of the three governments to move forward select programs, select projects in the midst of conflict, in the midst of no agreement on borders. But sewerage, water supply, sustainable development, these are issues that can't wait. And not only can they not wait, but by moving forward on these issues, we help create trust. We help create faith that there can be a better future, even in the Middle East, where we've had such an intractable conflict for so many years. We see institutional change, where Israel and Jordan, after 22 years of signing the peace treaty, finally create a subcommittee of their water committee to rehabilitate the River Jordan. So, diplomacy, water diplomacy led by diplomats is critical, and no one denies that. But we can't wait for the diplomats. On the contrary, as civil society, as local residents, Palestinian, Jordanian, Israeli, we have the responsibility to take control. And that's what we do at EcoPeace. We don't wait for water justice. We don't wait for sustainability. We don't wait for others to advance the SDGs for us. We empower our own communities to do so, and we encourage those diplomats to come on board. That's my message to you this afternoon, that civil society has a critical role to play. The international community needs to give more credit, more space, help empower civil society to play that role as a true partner in peace, and prosperity in the Middle East. And if we can do it in the Middle East, in the Israeli-Palestinian, Jordanian conflict, then there's no reason that we couldn't do it everywhere else. Thank you very, very much for listening.
Let's have a chat. Let's have a chat. Sit down. Very good. Why did you decide that that was going to be the hot topic?
Because I think that there's a positive message to state that in the most difficult of places, we can make progress. In the midst of bloodshed, conflict, violence, we can move things forward. So I want to encourage the audience. I want to relate to the audience that we must not give up. That's why it's a hot topic.
So if we went to the Jordan River right now and we were in those negotiations, what would be the tone of those negotiations?
So if you're in the Jordan River right now, you'd still have to deal with borders and checkpoints and fences and mines, and there's still a very little flow of water. But if you were to travel in the various communities around the Jordan Valley, you'd see tremendous support for cooperation, for moving forward. So we've managed to get all of the mayors of the Jordan Valley on the Jordanian side to write a letter to their Prime Minister, calling on the Prime Minister of Jordan to move forward on a master plan. We see strong grassroots support. It's not blind support. It's not support that doesn't recognize that animosity and the conflict continues. But it speaks to the self-interest of each side. Because people in the valley are sick and tired of living in poverty, living by a sewage canal, and being denied opportunities for prosperity.
Ashley Lynn on Twitter says, very thought-provoking comments on resource management of the Jordan River. Thank you, #ICSD 2016. I hope that's not one of your family.
No, I don't know the person.
All right, very good. I echo that, as will the audience as well. Thank you so much. Let's walk this way.
A pleasure, thank you.
Nice job.